In this video, we're going to convert this script called drag rigid body shadow. We're going to call it drag rigid body gaze. We're going to assign it down here on the main camera inside our third person controller, so it'll be put on down here. I'll double click this to open it in MonoDevelop. Then come back to Unity. Now create a new script, but make it a C# script and call it drag rigid body gaze. Then what we'll do is we'll go about converting the scripts. So open this one in MonoDevelop and just come back to drag rigid body shadow and grab everything in here. So I'm just going to click and drag to highlight everything. And then I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to grab right here and paste it back in. Notice at the end, make sure you have the right number of squiggly brackets at the end or things won't compile. Okay, grab these variables and move them up front. So again, I'll just cut them and I'll paste them right up front here. And you notice we have two function updates here. We just need one, so take this one here and get rid of the rest of this nonsense. And paste this on here. Now we just have one update function. Get rid of a few of these extra lines. All right, now we need to go about the job of converting. So the first thing is we're going to convert all these. These are floats, so just put the word float in front. And let me copy that. That was a right click, by the way, and then I'm just going to right click and paste. I'm using a 3-button mouse. You should be using a 3-button mouse if you're using Unity. If you don't have one, run out and buy yourself one. This is actually going to be a Boolean. It's not a float. Sometimes you'll see an F stuck on the end of these. I don't think it's required anymore, but it doesn't hurt to put it on. Okay, now I'm going to cut this material, get rid of the colon with the delete key, paste. Okay, same with this game object, cut, and paste. And get rid of that. We're actually not going to use this highlight material. We highlight just by setting the material color, so you can actually get rid of that highlight material. You can remove that line completely if you prefer. And once again, spring joint needs to be declared in a C# way. Get rid of this extraneous stuff. We're going to add one new variable, which will also be private, and it'll be a camera. And it'll be the main camera. We're going to cache this reference instead of getting it every time as is done in the original script. You'll notice here it's getting the main camera every time. Just cut that and paste it up here and start. Get rid of the variable declaration. So that caches it when the script starts. There's one more reference to it down here. Let's just find it. Right here on line 105. Come right here and just delete that out. All right, let's continue our conversion. Just getting rid of some extra lines. That's assigned to null. That's good. And that's fine. Okay, here, where we're getting the actual object, in the original script it's done with a ray cast, but we don't need to do this ray cast because we actually, let me just delete this, we actually have it right here in our gaze highlight script, and it's called highlighted object. So just copy that and come back, and you can put here gaze highlight, and you can put in that. So we get that from the other script, which has already saved its value for us. This input, it's using the mouse button. We don't want to use the mouse button. Instead, we're going to use the fire 1 button. So you can just change that to get button fire 1. And in quotes, fire 1. Copy this because there's one other place where they use the mouse, which we are not going to use. So copy that and come down here to line 99. You'll see input again here, get mouse button, and just paste input get button fire 1. All right, now come back up here. Again, this is a JavaScript declaration. We're going to use a C# declaration. So cut, delete, 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 and paste. And that's correct. Physics raycast. Okay, you see here where it's doing screen point to ray? We're not going to use the screen point to ray because that is implying that we're using the mouse. Instead, we're going to do a slightly different raycast. We're going to raycast off the main camera, of course, but we're going to start from the main camera transform position. And we're going to raycast from that position forward. So again, main camera, transform, and this time forward. That's the direction that we want to go. Now we don't need this screen stuff here. Get rid of all that. And we have to put the word out here. That's a C# syntactical thing. Now, what else do we have here? That's good. That's good. All right, this needs to be a game object. This needs to be a rigid body. The syntax is slightly different. You see this dot right here? You just need to take that out. The same here on this spring joint. You need to take that out. Get rid of that. We have a couple more variables that need to be changed. This is a vector 3. I think that is good. Okay. Now the other thing we need to do is we need to start a coroutine here. Again, the syntax is slightly different, so put in start coroutine. That's that one right there. And open bracket. And come all the way to the end and put a close bracket. Now what are we going to pass? Let's just double check the hit distance, the hit point. Okay, here again you'll see there's this screen raycast. We don't want the screen raycast. Again, we can just use the main camera transform forward. So main camera, get rid of all the rest of this. Transform forward. That looks a little bit better. Now here's the drag object method. Because we're doing C#, instead of saying function, we say IEnumerator. So it's that one right there, IEnumerator. Once again, we have to change all of these variable declarations the other way around. So cut, delete, 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 and paste. And here, cut, and delete a couple of them, and in here, paste, and the last one, cut, delete, delete, and in here, paste. That takes care of the method and how it should properly be declared. A couple more issues with variables. The time is a float. And a mouse position. We're going to still leave it called mouse position. You could probably rename this. It's a vector 3. Of course, we're not going to use the mouse position. We're going to use the, well, actually, you know, we can remove this completely. Let's take the mouse position out because this was actually used to see if the mouse had moved within a certain point of time to turn the lights on and off. And that's actually right down here. Just come here where this mouse position is calculated and hit delete to delete that. And then the next one as well, come here and delete that. And we're just going to use time instead of the mouse position. So don't worry too much about that. All right, so back up. We have a couple of other variables here. The old drag position, this is going to be a float. And also both of these will be floats. So they're floating point numbers. Okay. That's good, that's good, that's good. All right, this ray, we need to, again, to call this array, so that's just a syntax thing. But again, you can see we're doing a mouse position and a screen point array. We're not going to use the screen point array, so just space that over. We're actually going to use the center of the viewport, so what you want in here is viewport point to array. So that's viewport point to array, and we're going to put a new vector 3 inside there. Let me just delete this. We're just going to be at the center of the viewport, so we're going to create a new vector 3. What we want to use in here is 0.5 for x, 0.5 for y, and 0.0 for z or z, depending on how you say that where you live. So now we're going to raycast from the center of a point in the viewport, which is perfect. We're going to get the distance. Now this yield has to return something in C#, so for now we'll just return true. We change that so that it's time and directions. That looks good, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. Okay, everything else in that method looks good so far. Unity will find any mistakes if I make any, and we'll come back and fix them. Let's look at toggling the light. So this is going to toggle the light on and off, and if we just look at the lights, we'll be able to toggle them on and off as long as we don't move our head or move our gaze. But it is just going to be a static void, not a static function. C# knows that it's a function. And of course this needs to be reversed around. Yeah, paste that in. This is a light, so let's change that. Again, delete, delete, delete. Paste. Now the syntax of get component in children is slightly different. The round brackets get replaced by angle brackets, and then we add round brackets at the end. We'll have to do this in a couple of places. If I miss one, we'll come back and do it. You can see it here as well. This should be a bool. And this is going to be an array of renderers, actually an array of mesh renderers. And once again, we need to change these brackets. And the nice thing about using C# is all the errors are being highlighted. Oh, you notice here, I made an error and it's being highlighted. So that's the nice thing about MonoDevelop and C# is they know a lot about each other. For loops are again slightly syntactically different. In C#, we say for each. Once again, we declare the variable using kind of the reverse syntax. So for each mesh renderer in the renderers, yeah, so this is going to turn the light on and off. Okay, this find camera function, it's going to return a camera. Here again, you'll notice we have these dots where we don't need them, so get rid of those dots. That should fix that method. This on-post renderer we're not going to use. You can completely get rid of this. Make sure you've balanced your squiggly brackets or you'll have all kinds of problems. Alright, I think at this point it's good enough that we can save, and we'll let Unity find any syntax errors and we'll come back and fix them. So save. Flip back to Unity and see what Unity has to say about all of our good work. Okay, so a couple of errors. Let's find the first one here. Oh, yeah, of course, we want to make an assignment here. We want to assign our highlighted object. So copy that. And that actually needs to be an assignment. Where did it go? It's right at the beginning. There it is there. Paste that in. And an equal sign. What else? Save again. Unity may find other little things for us. And identifier expected. Game object. Go. We need a space there. Save again. What does Unity tell us? Okay, just a couple of warnings. I don't think we need to worry about these warnings, so let's close that up. Now it's really important that you attach this script to the camera. If you don't attach the script, nothing is going to work. So you see where we have drag rigid body gaze. Bring that right down and put it on the main camera. And then click on the main camera and scroll down to the bottom. And you should see the drag rigid body gaze script here. Oh, you notice the variables aren't exposed. Let's go back to mono develop. All of these variables that I changed, these should be public. Again, this is a syntax difference. We have to actually declare them as public. So let's grab this and copy it and paste it into all of these. So a couple of pastes here. Paste. And this one as well. Paste. So we've got a few of these we have to do. Just in case we want to change those variables. I'm not going to for this video, but be a little bit pedantic here and assume that we may want to. And this one as well. Okay, save that again. Back to Unity. Once it recompiles, here you go. You see now here all of the variables are exposed and we could change them if we want to. In any case, let's run this now. And what we should be able to do using the gaze interface is move objects around. I'm just going to position my mouse in the center of the reticle before I start the simulated movement. So there you go, we have that. And now we can move it. And the way you would do this once you're using the VR headset is you would look around and then you would click the fire button, and the fire button is going to be something depending on what input you're using. It could be the button on the side of the headset in the case of the Gear VR, or if you're using a little controller, it could be the fire button on the controller. In any case, this has been a pretty long video. I'm going to end it here, and we'll come back and we'll deploy this now to an actual VR device and use it on the head-mounted display.